Can you imagine all the haughty laughter going on in the boardrooms of German car companies when Hyundai said they were going after the premium market with the Genesis brand? Well, they might not be laughing quite so loudly this morning. This is the G70 sedan, and as you can see, it's rather good looking. It's very nice inside too, and this one with its 3.3 litre twin turbo engine is pretty bloody quick. So should the Germans be worried? This all-new G70 sedan is technically the third Genesis product, following the G90 and G80 sedans, but it's the first to really debut the brand's new design language, as well as this newfound passion for dynamics and performance. With the G70 still some months away from its early 2018 launch, Hyundai is keeping quiet on local pricing, but we'd expect it to kick off at around $50,000 for the cheapest model and climb to around $75,000 for the top of the range offering. And that would make it very cheap, comparatively speaking. The Mercedes-Benz C-Class, for example, starts at around $62,000, while BMW's 3 Series kicks off at around $57,000. Even fellow challenger brand Infiniti prices its entry-level Q50 at around $54,000. Outside, it might lack the understated elegance on offer from the best of the Germans, but the G70 looks good from plenty of angles, not least of which being the rear three-quarter view, which looks purposeful and premium. Climb inside and you'll find a really well-crafted interior with a creative use of materials like pleated leather on the door trims, metal trimming on the driving controls and aluminium on the door handles, and it blends seamlessly with the soft touch materials that line the dash and central storage units. There's plenty of space for up-front riders too. So the back seat is a tale of good and bad. The good is the fact that some of those nice design elements like the quilted leather on the door panels do make their way to the back seat for back seat riders. The bad is there's just not a lot of space back here. I'm sitting behind my own driving position, and while knee room and headroom are okay, weirdly it's toe room that feels really cramped. Also, it is a 4-seater, really. You're never going to want to put someone in this middle row here. The tunnel's so high, they're destined to be uncomfortable, and you will feel cramped. Better option is to deploy the seat divider, making use of the 2 cup holders, matching the 2 in the front. Backseat riders also get their own power source and air vents. The G70 will be offered with 2 petrol engines across 3 yet-to-be-named trim levels, a turbocharged 2-litre 4-cylinder unit, as well as the headline-stealing bi-turbo V6 that also appears in the Kia Stinger. Both will pair with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and Aussie cars will be rear-wheel drive only. But here's the catch. We've so far only driven the all-wheel drive version of the 3.3-litre twin-turbo model, and we're yet to sample Australian spec cars, which will be rear-wheel drive only, offer a different suspension and different steering tune, will be riding on different and better rubber, and specification is still being worked out too, so we're not yet sure just what will turn up as standard on each trim level. And so consider this then more of a peek into the basics of the G70 range. So let's forget about what it's like to drive for a moment. Let's talk about this cabin. It's a genuinely lovely interior and a nice, mostly quiet place to spend some quality time. We're in the top spec G70 Sport, and there's been a real attention to detail in here. This quilted leather on the doors is lovely. The steering wheel feels great under the touch, and even all the little dials make this satisfying click when you turn them. All of those might be small things, of course, but they're important things. We're actually yet to test the smaller capacity engine, but this 3.3 litre unit is a peach. It matches the outputs of the incoming Kia Stinger, but ends up with a slightly faster 4.7 second sprint to 100 kilometers an hour. The 8-speed gearbox is silky too, and there's this wonderful, albeit fake noise from the exhaust when you plant your foot. Now that noise was actually cooked up in a lab, and yet I quite like it. So, drawbacks. Well, it does feel heavy over the front end, and the adaptive dampers, even in their sportier setting, still allow too much bounce for my taste. Now that's great for commuting, it's less fun on a back road. But Hyundai Australia has already begun working on a bespoke suspension tune for this car, and given the quality of their work in that department in the past, we have high hopes for Australian delivered cars. Now, like most Australians, you're unlikely to recognise this badge, with Genesis still largely an unknown in Oz. But if the G70 is a taste of future product, well, we reckon you'll start seeing a fair few more of them.